I'm Glenn McGuinness, and this is Outburst. On the program, are you satisfied with Canada's response in Ukraine?
I believe Canada is doing the right thing.
There's always more that can be done.
I think Canada's doing a good job.
Russia needs to be stopped.
Some of the measures put forth by the Canadian government in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine include strong economic sanctions, banning the importation of Russian oil, loosening immigration restrictions on Ukrainians looking to flee to Canada, and also expanding Operation Unifier, the training mission by Canadian forces for Ukrainian troops. They're also supplying Ukrainian forces with lethal and non-lethal equipment and ammunition, but no boots on the ground there. So do you feel we're doing enough to help Ukraine, or should we do more? Our question.
Are you satisfied with Canada's response to the crisis in Ukraine?
I don't know enough about it to comment. I think that probably they're not doing nearly enough, though.
Why would you say that?
I think that due to the political sensitivity of the NATO countries entering into like a no-fly zone over Ukraine, they're holding back. Probably Canada's receiving more refugees than England, where I'm from, so I don't know, but my feeling is that the world isn't doing enough.
I would say yes.
Why?
Because I don't think what Russia is doing is proper, and I think we have to take a stand against it, and I think Canada's doing a good job.
I feel that Canadians in general have a lot of compassion towards the people there, and it sounds as though with the sanctions we're doing our part in, but I don't know the nitty-gritty of it.
I think it's been well orchestrated. I think it's seems like a response that's been done alongside a lot of the Canada's allies in the world, and I think it's a smart response, yeah.
I think you also have to look that Ukraine's not a NATO country as well, so it'd be awesome if the Canada and the United States could go in and just throw our military in there and kind of help level out the problem. But in reality, I don't think it's a bad thing that we're not sending our troops to fight that war, because I don't think it's our war to fight, but I do believe we should be supporting them financially as well. I just don't think we should be sending our own soldiers to go over and die if we're not directly involved.
To be honest, Canada can do a lot of it. It can send its sources, forces of military support and stuff.
I think it really should have been a lot quicker, because it has been on the cards for some time.
Their response to the crisis in Ukraine is a little soft. It's a little soft.
What should they do?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not fully aware of all the sanctions that have been applied to this point, but there need to be an awful lot more, and there needs to be some dialogue. That we need to be talking. I believe there is conversation between Ukraine and Canada, but I think it needs to be a much wider conversation. I'm very disappointed with Joe Biden's performance in terms of handling that situation, but we are dealing with a maniac.
The chickens. My dad was a tank driver, Second World War. NATO would have went in already. They're letting people get sacrificed. That's not right. Russia needs to be stopped. NATO has the ability to do it. All we're doing is giving Ukraine arms to go in and try to slaughter more people. We can stop that, though.
Well, I mean, we're doing what we can. I guess militarily there's not much we can do, but I guess the public's response, like donations, money, offering to take in any refugees, I think it's whatever we can do right now is, is much needed.
I think Canada's beating the war drum a little too much. I think Canada should be more on the humanitarian side and less on the warmongering side.
I believe Canada's response on imposing sanctions was the right move to do without getting deeply involved, because I understand that Putin had made assumptions or allegations that he may use like nuclear war, and that's the last thing we need. And it is troubling as it is right now. If that is what it takes, I believe Canada is doing the right thing right now, but I believe there could be more.
Okay, for the global perspective, it's very slow, which is understandable because it's a very touchy situation, and if countries and NATO get involved with the no-fly zone, that could escalate things rapidly, and it would be beneficial at this point to still continue to take it slow and hopefully try to come up with a peaceful resolution.
I think that pretty much we've done what we could do. Not sure I'd want to see us do much more, and I'd hate to see us do any less.
I think that Canada's done a good job responding so far in terms of showing support. Military support is also, of course, important. I think with the crisis in Ukraine, the key thing is that democracies need to stand together against what Putin is doing. Because Ukraine, and especially in the case of Canada, with the fact that we have so many people who are immigrants of Ukrainian descent, that we have ties of friendship, ties of blood to Ukraine. And so doing anything we can is key.
I think it's great what the government's doing in connection with all the other NATO partners and other countries. Now, somehow, we've got to stop this maniac. And I don't know how to do it, but sanctions is the first place to start. Yeah, we're all going to pay for that. Food prices are going to go up. Oil prices are going to go up. Gas prices are up, but it's a small price to pay to help the Ukraine.
Well, considering our situation as a smaller country, I think it's been an adequate response. Trying not to inflame the situation, but I think we need to provide Putin with a way out, and we haven't done that. So by increasing sanctions, etc., we need to hold some kind of carrot out to allow him an exit strategy. So that's my only fear, that when you have a sociopath backed into a corner, and the whole world is against him without an exit strategy, it could be trouble.
There's no escaping the nightmare Canadians are witnessing at the gas pumps. Oil prices have been at record highs as of late, and with so much uncertainty going on in the world right now, things might get a lot worse before they get better. So we sent our cameras out to ask Canadians how they're dealing with the fuel price hike. Our question:
how are you coping with rising gas prices?
I'm walking more. Yeah. I have a car now, and I drive a little Honda Civic, and it cost me almost $80 to fill it up the other day. Yeah, and it's crazy. And I'm from Newfoundland, so the gas prices there are skyrocketing. Yeah, it's like $2 a liter to fill it up. Yeah, it's crazy.
The person that I live with, he also has a car, and she gets her fuel redone every week. She used to spend around $60 per week. Now she spends $90. So the overall cost and everybody's economic budget per month has increased because of that. And it's been affecting not only just Canada, all over the world. Yeah.
Not well. I just received a $200 energy bill, whereas like last year it would have been closer to $50. So yeah, rising gas prices have gone way up. I don't personally have a car, but I do power my house with oil. So I have a vested interest in making sure that gas prices, you know, if they do increase in a more stable way.
It's definitely something I'll be considering more. I'm a student, but I'm lucky to have a vehicle, and I don't know if I'll be taking those extra trips as much, because that's a lot of money for sure to be driving around if you don't need to. So,
fortunately, I'm retired and I don't do a lot of driving, so the gas prices itself, as is affecting us personally, not that tremendous. But obviously, people who make a living out of driving and delivering goods and that sort of thing, it's going to cause great inflation. The more gas prices go up, the more the cost of everything else will go up, because it's all tied together.
But I know my partner is a delivery driver, and I know that the rising gas prices have been affecting him a bit. He's been kind of wondering if he should ask for a raise because of that.
I think if it continues in the long term, we're just going to see a switch to more car companies starting to manufacture or inquiring into the possibility of electric cars and using that as an alternative source. It'd be better for the environment, so I'd honestly rather that.
Well, it's the same in UK. The gas and energy prices are taking a huge hike, which affects everyone, and more so the people who are on low incomes. It's the government is saying it's going to be capped, but at that point, but then you still have to pay back in years to come. So it's an initial reaction, but it's not long term.
So as a non-driver, it doesn't have as much of an impact on me, although I do understand that it's a crunch for a lot of people's incomes, and also the impact that it will have reverberating in terms of prices of commodities and other resources. So,
awful. Yeah, they use reasons to hike the prices of gas for anything, so that's just another reason.
I think they're terrible, but you know, it's the price we pay at the moment, so I think it's more important that we support people and their human rights than have cheap gas.
Not much of a choice. I think it's unfortunate. I do think that we should probably try and find other solutions, but for now we have to deal with it. But I don't think it's something that will last long term, though. I think the longer it is, the more Canadians, not just Canadians, everybody even in Europe, will start having a problem with it. We need to find other solutions than relying on Russia for our oil.
Well, that's it. I mean, I just think twice about taking a trip in my car. But I live, in a city neighborhood, so I don't drive a lot. I don't drive to work, so it's not as bad for me as it would be for others who have to drive more, for sure.
We're fortunate in that way. We only have one vehicle, and I'm working from home, and even if I wasn't, I'm a transit user, so it's an irritant, but it's not a big part of our life.
If they're really concerned about the prices of fuel here, you should Google Germany fuel prices or the UK fuel prices. We're getting a bargain.
Well, it hurts. I mean, you have to. I'm recently retired, so I don't have as much money as I did. So yeah, it hurts. You got to cut back on other things, or not drive as much, or yeah, it's difficult, but you got to make do somehow.
I think that there's some greed going on from some of the large multinational oil companies, and they're capitalizing on the situation that we're in. It's unfortunate that they haven't been able to provide some relief at the pumps, and a big portion of our gas expense is actual taxation. So I think the government should come ahead and provide some relief as far as that goes. But yeah, it's going to actually slow our economy and increase inflation, just the price of moving our goods around.
Yes, it is affecting me. I was just telling my friend that I'd probably be driving out to Rose Isle to go cross-country skiing, but I went last week, and I just recently paid my first $80 tank fill, and I've spent $150 just by driving around that much over the past couple of weeks on gas. So, I mean, who am I to complain when so many other people in the world have problems that are 10,000 times mine?
Whose job is it to choose a federal cabinet? Prime Minister, Governor General, or Speaker of the House? Prime Minister, Governor General, Speaker of the House?
Prime Minister. I think Governor General, the second option.
I think it's the Speaker of the House.
Prime Minister.
I'll go with that too. Prime Minister.
Prime Minister?
Governor General?
I feel like it's the Prime Minister.
It is the Prime Minister.
Oh!
You got it right.
Oh, well, look at that. I'm smart today.
Members of a federal cabinet are chosen by the Prime Minister before being appointed by the Governor General. The federal government's work is done through departments or ministries and agencies. Cabinet ministers are responsible for portfolios such as health, finance, national defense, and environment and climate change, just to name a few. Cabinet ministers are most commonly MPs elected for the governing party, but there have also been members of the Senate appointed to the cabinet as recently as 2006, with Senator Michael Fortier's appointment to Stephen Harper's cabinet. Also, between 1944 and 1945, General Andrew McNaughton was Minister of National Defense for 9 months without a seat in either the House of Commons or the Senate. After 2 unsuccessful attempts to get elected to the Commons, he had to resign.
As COVID restrictions start to fade in Canada and things seemingly get back to normal, the debate on whether one has the right to refuse a COVID-19 vaccine has caused a deep wound in this country, which could take a long time to heal. The trucker protests held here in Ottawa highlighted a deep divide and resentment over COVID-19 restrictions. So, how could we enhance the healing process moving forward? Our question.
What could be done to repair the divisions over COVID restrictions and vaccine mandates?
Forgive, forgive, forgive. I don't like to say respect everybody's opinion because that's a tricky one, but we have to heal and move on, and I'm afraid that discussion is going to be brought up many times around many circles. Make it a water cooler discussion and try to leave it at the water cooler.
I'm not sure that anything could be done towards that end on like a political front or a campaign front. I think that it has to be a natural happening, and yeah, it has to just come by naturally.
Well, I'm a vaxxer. I have both vaccines and my third shot. The reason that I did that is because I would like to be able to be free to go where I want and meet people that I want. That I know some people that are not vaccinated, I have not gone into their house. I will not go into their house because if I catch it, I can't go and visit where I want to visit afterwards because I'll feel guilty.
I don't think there is. There's no changing the people's opinions about it at this point. Either they're going to hate the restrictions and the pandemic and not believe in it, or they're going to believe in it. And they're going to do everything they can to mitigate the spread throughout society.
That's a tough one. I have no clue. I think I wish people could just trust the scientists. I get that it's hard to trust the government, but the science is there backing it all up. So I think get the proper information. But I don't know how to fix the divide. My family is so divided, so yeah, it's tough.
I mean, I just want us all to get along. Everybody has their own opinion and they're entitled to it, so I have no problem with it. You know, I'm a good abiding citizen, so I'll follow the rules, but I get it. I get why people are upset and, you know, they have their opinions and they have their right to their opinions. We live in a free country, so.
I think people just need to start respecting everyone, their own decisions. You know, like some people are comfortable with it, great. Some aren't. Who cares, right? Like, if somebody wants to, and so if you go into a business, somebody asks you to put on a mask, just do it. You know, it's kind of painful, like you're taking it out on the wrong people for one.
I don't know how to bring everybody back together. I just say stay kind, you know, have a heart, and everybody's going through a different problem. And just be mindful of what everyone's going through is similar, but not the same. But just be kind. If you feel you want to be anti-vax, that's fine. Let them be, but you don't need to be ridiculous about it. Enough is enough.
Well, I know that the country is divided when it comes to masks and, you know, some of those in mandates. What I think is that at this point, because we've been in pandemic for more than 2 years, so I think it should be like, you know, kind of choice. Yes, of course, you know, certain places should be mandatory. But again, you know, we should be a little bit more light on some of those restrictions because it's actually dividing the people.
In my opinion, because most of the Canadian population is vaccinated already, I don't think it should be such a big problem anymore. What can we do to repair it? I mean, I don't think we can ever convince everybody to have the same opinion on everything. So I think we just have to deal with the fact that some people are against it. And I think that because most of the population is vaccinated, I think we should just keep it as it is and just accept the fact that not everybody's going to be satisfied with the same decisions.
Just don't let that happen again. The convoy, the truckers shouldn't have been here in the first place. If it would have been the indigenous people parking themselves there and wanting something to do about the water problems that they have, they would have been kicked out in the first day. So the truckers should have been moved out of there. If they don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. But there's protocols to follow, and it's to make us all safe, right? It's all about safety.
That is a very big question. I think that it was hard being working right downtown while the trucker protests were going on, and there was a lot of anger. It was more so also fear, and I think that's really what it kind of comes down to, is that we all have these fears, and some people, just the way they express those and their opinions came out in ways that could caused some divisions, and it is, I'm fortunate that a lot of my friends and colleagues and family members are kind of on one side, but at the same time that is not the case for many people, and maybe just trying to understand where people were coming from, because the restrictions have been hard on everyone, and it's devastating to see the impacts that will follow through and have impacts throughout, like for children. Like there's big impacts, and so maybe if we're compassionate, understand where they were coming from, and perhaps if they can understand the impact that they had on everybody's lives here.
About a year and a half ago, when nations around the world were just learning how to deal with the pandemic, the notion of jumping on a plane and flying off to a faraway destination was nothing but a pipe dream. Although measures have been changed to make things easier for people coming back into Canada, has the whole pandemic experience made you feel differently about getting out there and seeing the world? Our question.
Do you feel more comfortable about international travel now?
I never really had a problem with traveling because I felt pretty safe and secure. They did a really good job with sanitizing the planes and the airports, and kind of the 6 feet apart, 2 meters, and then having the seats separated. And then they also had, most planes had that kind of air filtration system, which it's a great adaptation, and it's good going forward. I think we've learned a lot from this pandemic, so I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it, right? Mind you, everybody gets sick, right? So lots of people that I've been talking to, they go to Mexico, they come back, barely anybody gets sick. I find more people are getting sick in the community than on the airplanes.
Internationally, in Europe, yes, but outside Europe, don't know about it. But again, it is extremely challenging right now to travel because every country has their own rules and regulations. It's hard to know, and it's always changing. So you always got to keep up with all the rules and regulations and the law as well. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to travel for probably years. I also don't have money, but yeah, no, it definitely isn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable going out. I think that is a good question. But yeah, you just don't know everyone else's, where they're at. And I don't know countries' restrictions other than ours. So I'm just uneducated in that purpose, and I wouldn't want to spread my diseases.
Well, that was one of my things that I'm dreaming about because I'm trying to get through this. I'd love to go to Greece, but I really have to look at everything. I have to, and my anxieties started to come up and up and up with the more things that I was thinking about, like just getting to the airport, getting on the plane, getting there. What if I get sick, if I'm alone, or if I go with someone? So right now, no, I'm staying at home. Home is, it's a safe place right now.
Yes, I do feel more confident, more safer, because I do think that almost everybody is vaccinated. I think we're at a point where life just has to restart. We have to take the risk. We cannot always just stay quarantined or stay in the country over here. in my opinion, I think we're at a safer spot because almost everybody is vaccinated, and it's time to move on.
Absolutely, yes, 100%, which is why I've just come to Canada now. From England, I waited until, the routes opened up and there were less restrictions, so I feel totally comfortable with it. I've had COVID and I'm triple vaccinated.
I do, because the mask is still mandated, so that's one of the protection, but I think from what I hear is it's become like a flu, like a normal flu. It's no longer pandemic stage.
I do feel more comfortable. I just booked a trip to Cuba, so it is something that's really exciting to be able to kind of get back to some elements of life that we've said goodbye to for a couple of years. So yes, I do feel more comfortable. The idea of some of the restrictions coming off in terms of like mask wearing and other like if they were to take away all testing, I think at the borders, I think that might cause a little bit of fear. But if we continue doing it in a slow, methodical process, then I think hopefully it will have good results and we'll get to experience travel again.
No, I don't. They can say whatever they want. They can say we're all vaccinated, everybody in the resorts are vaccinated, you can come in the airport, you can do this, you can do that. But if they haven't got anything to show you, what's to say whether they're correct or not? What's to say that everything that they're showing us is fake or is true? And then in the airport, you're going to meet a lot of people, not only from Canada, but from everywhere. And they can have any proof that they want, but you don't know whether it's valid or not.
Yes, I feel comfortable with international travel. I feel like we're getting to a place where, Dr. Strang said we're all going to get it at some point. So, we're better equipped now. We have vaccines for anybody that wants that. It's your body, your choice.
I still think it's risky. If it's necessary travel, go for it. If it's recreational travel, I really think you should pick and choose where you go.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on CPAC. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.